Hello, everyone, and welcome to ProblemSolvHer podcast. I'm your girl, Chloe, along with my sister, Daggy's in the house. Chloe's in the house. Guys, for those of you that listen and watch, we skipped last week because we're both busy. You know, it's like tax season and we're getting all our stuff done. But it creates so much angst and stress this time of the year for everybody, which I think is very apropos in the sense that it has a lot to do with our new series and our topic, right, Dagmar?
Yep. Our topic where we were building the series around is the fear of being seen. And I think especially women, but also men I met through the Chamber of Commerce, they experience that as soon as you leave your comfort zone and you do something where perhaps you don't feel 100% sure about it, or just childhood triggers coming in.
Those triggers, they really get us every time, don't they? It's so funny how specific people, mostly family in my experience, can trigger you more than anybody. It's like a noise, a sound. They say one word and it's like 0 to 50. And I know a lot of people like that. And triggers come from all different areas of our life. But I agree with you. Everything starts in your childhood. We're all products of our environment.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because, like, in general, for sure, it's depending on the culture you grow up in, right? And also the time you grow up. Like, as I grew up, I don't know here in the United States, but it was the tendency to raise the girls like, be a good girl and serve and don't put yourself first. And I think that plays a huge role in the fear of being seen and how you experience that and what it takes to overcome that.
I think that the fear of being seen, it doesn't really matter who you are. People look at like professional athletes and models and actors and go, my God, they have no fear. But if you listen to a lot of them in their interviews, they say that they have this big, massive fear of being seen on stage, or, you know, once the camera gets rolling, or if they're playing a sport and all eyes are on them. We all have this fear of, is anyone watching us? It also comes down to, we all want to be loved and everybody wants to be cherished. But it's interesting because every time we have like a family discussion and my mom wants to say something, she always goes, I want to be seen. I just want to be seen. You know, over the years, I'm like, okay, this is getting redundant. But she's right. It's the truth. Everyone wants to feel that they are being seen and heard, whether you're in a conversation with a family member, a colleague, your significant other. I feel like pets, right? Our furry ones, they show us every day they want to be seen because they want all of our attention, right? Like Oliver right now is kind of being a little bit of a misfit because as soon as we start, he knows that he doesn't have my attention for the next hour. So he's acting like a little Dennis the Menace and he's eating up one of his beds, but I'm going to ignore him right now, this moment. So, Daggy, what do you feel like in terms of being seen is the number one thing that triggers or comes up for you most?
I think we all have a vision of us in our head, how we want to be. And that's what we portray to the outside. But then we have inside our worries and our fears and our insecurities. So by putting myself out in situations where perhaps I don't feel comfortable in, or I never was in the situation before, that for sure triggers my fear of being seen.
Well, the fear of the unknown, right, is within all of us because it's the what ifs come up. And it's interesting that you say that if you're in a situation that you're not normally in. Last weekend, I went to the Tortuga Music Festival. This is not anyone that knows me. And I love being social, but, you know, 20, 30,000 people, I don't really do things like that. And one of my really close friends was like, early birthday present, I got you a ticket, a day pass for the beach. And Ice Cube was like a huge rapper. I mean, I was really young when he first started out in the 80s. And then Post Malone was the headliner, who I absolutely love. I love his music, I love his energy. And I remember when we were leaving the one section, because everything's on the beach and everyone goes and crowds together and keeps walking down to like where the main area was. And I was with some of my friends, and I just had this moment of like, oh my God, there's so many people here. Who cares what I'm wearing? All this time I took for my outfit, all these young, hot girls in their bikinis, and it's dark out. No one can really see everyone. Everyone's drunk. No one's paying attention. The fear of being seen, there's nothing to be seen. It's like everyone's just here, having a fun time, and all eyes are on the main act. But I remember in that moment being like, there's so many people here, and I'm feeling kind of like crunched in this area, even though you're outside and you're on the beach. And I've had a vision all of a sudden of like, it started, what if it started pouring rain, or someone got into a fight and people started pushing and people started, trampling, because this happens at concerts. And all of a sudden, within 5 minutes of that, it started raining. And I was like, and my friend looked at me and I was like, no. And she's like, exit around. And because we were so close to the ocean side, we were able to push through some people and get out and go all the way around. And it poured for like 3 or 4 minutes, but it was just in that moment, having that fear. But, being seen in different circumstances is the pressure I feel like that we put on ourselves. And like you said, we can feel one way about ourselves depending on the situation. When I go out, my friends are like, you're so confident. You'll talk to any guy. You'll go up to anyone. I'm like, yeah, but you should see me at home. I'm so insecure when I'm at home. All my stuff comes up for me. But it's, so I think it's interesting as humans to be able to process it, right? And tell ourselves we have a fear of being seen. I think it comes within all of us. And if people say they don't, then they need to do a little soul searching, or maybe they're just like an extreme narcissist or something. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think for me is what's my goal? And I feel the fear of being seen. And I have the ability to just focus on my goal. And I remember as I worked with my ex-husband, we had to go to these networking events, and they had like a 60-second speech or a 90-second speech where you get up and share your name and how you serve others and what you have to offer. I got teased so many times for my accent.
From who? Teased by who?
If people were not used to accents and they just used to American English, it's not so easy for them to understand it. So they teased me sometimes, hey, say that word again or pronounce that word again, because no matter how often I tried, I could not pronounce it properly. But you have to take it as a sport. Like first I was devastated, and then, hey, it is what it is. I make the best out of it. And if I have to say it 3 times, I say it 3 times. But I remember my American ex-husband, he was like this tall, good-looking guy, and he had never problems talking in a crowd or like getting attention, right? He was used to be in the middle of the attention. But he could not get up for this 60-second speech. He was like frozen, totally frozen. He just could not get up. So I got up in my Oxford English and I shared how our company is serving others and how somebody can reach us and what we offer and everything. Like was far away from perfect, right? And far away from proper American English and everything. But I could do it because what's the goal? The goal is you're there. It's a business meeting. You want to get with
Right.
business. It's home. I mean,
Absolutely.
you cannot focus on your fear of being seen. Then you will be incapable because everybody is sitting, and then you have to get up, stand up to give your offer. And now, sure, everybody is looking at you. And it's normally not a group of 5. It's normally a group of like 20, 30 people.
Right.
So I really have to say that was the beginning where I learned if I want to reach my goals, I just need to focus on my goals. I cannot focus on my insecurities, on my weaknesses, on my fear, on what I worry about. Like, I cannot accomplish what I want if I don't take that step. And it took my ex-husband 2 years, 2 years.
Wow.
And he saw me doing it again and again. And I think that helped him. Like, look at her. She doesn't speak American English, was mostly Oxford English. I had to learn American English because American English is more singing and Oxford English is more similar to German. Like you speak more the words separated from each other. And American English is like a song. Like there's never an ending. And yeah, it took him 2 years. And then little by little, he didn't freeze anymore, getting up and giving a 60-second speech. But that was amazing for me to see how the impact of I'm wanting to accomplish something and for him focusing on what he worried about hindered him to be successful.
That's amazing. Well, I have a question though, because you said that they would tease you when you would do your 60, 90-second speech. Would they say it in a way like, I'm sorry, I don't really understand, or they, oh, what was that again? Because I feel like anyone that would do that in a way that would be, I'm trying to think of the right word here, that would purposely try to put you down or is not cool. And I just find that interesting that grown adults would tease in that manner, or were they really just asking because they couldn't understand you?
Well, I think it was both, right? They knew what I tried to say, but it was funny for them, an opportunity like to tease somebody. And then, what was the word? How did you say the words? And oh my God. So it was
I
not
find
the,
that so interesting. There's so many accents in this country. This is the United States of America. This is like a melting pot of, yeah. It's funny though how your husband couldn't, he was like the life of the party, but when it came to giving the speech, he can't do it. I know people, I have a friend who took a public speaking course because for work she works for a very big corporate hotel and it's one of the biggest ones in the world, and she has to speak at some of these events. And I went with her one time because I was trying to help her last year because you know me, I'll speak anywhere. And her hand was shaking. She was literally shaking. And I was like, sweetie, it's okay. I'm like, it's not that serious. We're not in a government position. We don't work for Congress. It's good. The news isn't here. The cameras aren't rolling. Just relax. Just be yourself. And some people, that's their biggest fear. She said that she threw up twice that morning because she was so nervous to speak because there was a couple hundred people there. And I can't relate to that because I can get up and do it in front of a crowd. But other things that maybe someone else might not have a fear of, or maybe they do. The fear of being seen in any public situation, depending on what it is, can give anyone anxiety. Maybe you're dating somebody new for the first time and you've been dating 3 or 4 months and he invites you to his corporate holiday party, which is what happened to me some years ago in New York City. There was like 1,000 people at this event, literally. And I remember he was like, we're going to go, we're going to pick out your dress, anything you want. And I was in fabulous shape and I got the most beautiful dress, but I was so nervous of the fear of these people that went to all these Ivy League schools and UPenn and Harvard and stuff, what it was going to be like. And I just had this fear of like, will I fit in? And then as soon as we got there, I was like, these people are not nearly as cool as me. Who cares what school they went to? And I ended up having a really nice time. But it was the first time I was in a serious relationship with a guy that was 5 years older than me. And I felt like a real adult. And I just remember the few days before not sleeping and getting ready to go to this big holiday party and all these things. And then when I got there, I was like, what? This? So that's life, right?
yeah. But we all have it. And I worked with so many clients who could not write a blog post or create a video or come on a podcast. That was so intimidating for them. no matter how much it would have helped them with their business, but it was so intimidating to them, they could not do it.
It's so funny because when you and I first started this last year, the first few we did together because we were sitting together and I was there with you and we had so much fun. But we had our fears of like, what is this? What are we doing? It's so natural to us now. I don't even get worried about it or fear anything about it or what am I wearing? Should I put more lip gloss on? I mean, we don't really wear makeup. We're natural women. We're natural beauties. I don't we just don't really think about it that much anymore. So I think that sometimes these fears can become less and less as we practice or we get more comfortable. Don't you think?
Without any questions. Without any question. And for sure, it helps if you have somebody supporting you or somebody being there with you when you feel the struggle coming up, or like what you said with your friend as she started shaking. For sure, it helped her that you were there and coached her through the situation so that she could feel more relaxed, right? And not freezing up, doing at the end what she was meant to do.
She ended up doing a great job. She blacked out like a lot of people do. Like, how was it? Did I do good? I don't even remember what happened. And I was like, you were great. I mean, I could tell there were moments, but you'd have to really know her to really see that. It's like, think about people that host, the Oscars and these big award shows every year. Like Jimmy Kimmel's done it, Jimmy Fallon. Oh gosh, he just did the Oscars. I can't remember his name with the red hair. I just had a blank. He's so funny. Conan O'Brien. And you think, these guys look so relaxed, but they're sitting in front of the biggest stars in the world. And if a joke doesn't land and it's crickets in the audience of these hundreds of people, you just have to keep going. You don't even have a moment to be like, okay, sometimes they'll say that. They'll be like, all right, guess that one didn't land well, or, you know, so it's interesting, but all these different fears, whether it's in sports, I remember growing up and I had a big tennis match the night before I never slept, and the fear of it, or my club had doubles. It was dad and daughter doubles and mother and son doubles, right? That's how our club, they just did this tournament every summer. And because I come from such a competitive athletic family where everyone played sports and everyone was just very competitive, it could just like my dad would be like coaching me the night before. My mom would be like, let her go to bed already. And I'd say, well, mom, what are you telling Dylan? And she's like, just tell him he'll do great tomorrow and go to sleep. And I wake up and I just had this fear of, what if I double faulted one point or, what if I didn't? And so playing with my dad is like after that, when I got older, and we would be like rock, paper, scissors, who's going to play with him? Because no one wanted to play doubles with him because he's so competitive. But he wins those. Then you have to say, well, which side? So now what we've been doing is doubles and ping pong, which is so funny. My Dylan and I played my mom and dad in doubles, and we like destroyed them. And my dad was so angry. And then my dad's like, "I want to play Chloe one singles match," and then of course he beat me because I can't beat him alone. I need Dylan because Dylan beats him, and it's like the whole cycle. And we had a tournament about 2 weeks ago, and I'm the only girl that plays unless my mom comes down to my parents' building. They have a brand new ping pong table, and there's this woman who I know. She's older than me, but she's athletic and she's like me. She always played tennis growing up. And she kept telling my dad, I'm so good at ping pong. So my dad played with her and he's like, I think she'd be a challenge for you. So he invites her down and everyone's watching us. And we're at 19 all, 21 to win, and you have to win by 2 points. And Dylan comes in and starts talking to someone. And I get totally messed up and she beats me, right? And my dad looked at me like, I can't believe she beat you. And I was so upset. And then about 20 minutes later, like, I want a rematch. And she's like, let's go. And I beat her. And I felt so good. So when I went upstairs, my mom said, who won? And I said, Tammy won a game and I won a game. So we're even right now. And I want to play her again. I'm like ready to go. I don't fear it. I want to take the challenge and do it you know? So the fear of being seen is, I think, more or less like, well, what are people going to think of us, right? And then we get to an age and we go, I don't really care what anyone thinks about me. So I feel like certain fears about being seen, maybe, it becomes less and less in that sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's depending on how deeply it's anchored in you. Just to mention that we're not talking about the fear of being seen from a psychological perspective, right?
No, of course not.
This is really more from childhood triggers,
And our experiences.
our experiences, exactly. Yeah. So what I experienced with the fear of being seen, depending on in what phase I was in life and depending on what my goals were, right? So as I was younger, I thought less about my goals and more about the situation. The more I thought about the situation, the worse it became. And especially if you don't have parents who support you in a way that they give you the reassurance that you can accomplish anything you set your mind to, then it becomes tricky because then you're not feeling secure. You have the fear of being seen. And then when you focus on the situation, it's really tough to do your best or to do well. Yeah.
Is that your takeaway? Or,
Yeah, that's my takeaway.
yeah, okay. I felt like it was, but I didn't know because you didn't say. I agree with
Yeah.
everything you said. The more we think about it and the more pressure we put on ourselves, especially if it's one specific thing, the fear builds and builds and builds and it gets bigger and bigger. And the best way to try to release some of that is to give ourselves grace and take more pressure off of ourselves. We put so much pressure on ourselves as humans. It's overwhelming, you know? We exhaust ourselves with and I'll say to myself, all right, enough. Stop thinking about that. You know, I'm exhausted for you. You know, it's like so it's a great series, though, to be doing, and we're excited about it. And we hope everyone enjoys it. And we hear you, we love you, and we see you. ProblemSolvHer.com, Know You and Solve, ProblemSolvHer on Instagram, the Chutzpah Girl on TikTok. We're everywhere you guys are. YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Ciao, everyone.
Ciao. Just a quick note before we end. This conversation is for inspiration and empowerment only. It's not medical, mental health, or legal advice. We are not doctors, therapists, or lawyers. Just women sharing real stories and personal truth. Always seek professional guidance for your unique situation.